Well, good morning. This is Dave Jones with StormCenter Communications and GeoCollaborate. It's September 12th, just before noon, 11:47 East Coast time, and we still are dealing with Francine. Francine made landfall yesterday as a Category 2 hurricane, winds of 100 miles per hour, but quickly weakened in its intensity, went down to Category 1, and this morning is now a tropical depression. 35-mile-an-hour winds. You can see that rotation there in Mississippi. As a matter of fact, I'll put my cursor over the area here. You can see that's the center of circulation. And I have also enhanced some of the higher cloud tops with the GOES satellite imagery. And you can see they're going into Arkansas and western Tennessee. So the spinning in central Mississippi is a lot of low-level moisture with some heavy, intense rainfall, but most of the heavy stuff is now out of the New Orleans area. Skies will start to clear there in the next 4 or 5 hours. There's a lot of tropical moisture down here still being brought off the Gulf of Mexico, and quite a bit of flooding occurred from the rain in downtown New Orleans last night, simply because of the rainfall intensity. The pumps there in New Orleans can only handle an inch of rain in the first hour and then a half inch of rain for every hour after that. So when you have rainfall that's falling at 2, 3, maybe even 4 inches per hour, that causes the drain system to back up. And there have been some cases of flooded homes in the New Orleans area. And you also notice a little bit further to the east, notice here in Florida, we still have thunderstorms with intense rainfall that are moving through the Florida Panhandle into northern Florida. They are going to maintain a flood threat during the day today as the system slowly moves on into central and northern Mississippi and then sort of stalls before it kind of dissipates and goes away over the next several days. The good thing about it is the tropical moisture, a lot of it will be sort of squeezed out over the next day or two. But I do want to show you GeoCollaborate and what it looks like. First of all, I'm widening up just a little bit up to Tennessee, Kentucky. There's going to be some heavy, intense rainfalls there as well as southeastern Missouri, extreme southern Indiana, and Illinois. There will be rain showers, some heavy at times there, that could cause some brief localized flooding. But for the big impact zone, which is let's drag this up just a little bit, which is in Louisiana and Mississippi. We are going to see conditions improving, although a lot of low-level cloud cover is going to remain. You can see that here. But then combining the power outages with the heat and humidity, it's going to be a miserable couple of days. So kudos and thank you to all the responding crews through mutual assistance that are coming from many, many states. You can see those in the crawl up towards the top. Also, the floodgates. Most of the floodgates in the New Orleans area are being reopened. Those gates were closed to prevent any storm surge flooding. We didn't see any significant storm surge that would overtop any of those floodgates or force themselves onto the levees. So that is great news. And also the rail sector looks like it's getting ready to operate again once all those floodgates are reopened, and the threat is now diminishing. So let me show you GeoCollaborate and what it looks like here. This is the wide view. We have a lot going on right now in the weather world. We have Tropical Depression Francine. You can see that, and I'll point that out here. This tropical depression is weakening. But you can see the cone. Look at the cone there. And what I want to point out, too, is we've had some conversations throughout the Signal app with private sector liaisons or private sector and state private sector liaisons about what this cone actually means. This is a very small example of a cone because this is the 11 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. It is the final advisory on Tropical Depression Francine. The Hurricane Center has shifted over the area of responsibility to the Weather Prediction Center in College Park, Maryland, because Francine is now a big rainstorm, and that's what the Weather Prediction Center takes over and starts to talk about the impacts of longer-term rain Of course, all the local forecast offices are updating their forecasts as well. But let me just show you what this is. Look at this cone. This is the cone of uncertainty, and it basically means the center of the storm. The center of the storm is right here. This is the probability that the center of the storm will move in this cone, just the center. But look how broad the impacts are. The impacts are very large. Look at this area of red. This is an area of potential flooding rain during the next 3 days that we'll have. And look at that, way away from the cone. So we could have flooding rain in Mississippi. We are having it right now, and it's not in the cone. So the point of the matter is, when you see the cone forecast issued by the National Hurricane Center, that is only an indication of the probability of where the center of the storm is going to move. There are big impacts well outside of that cone. So please do not use the cone from the National Hurricane Center as a point of decision making. If you say we're outside of the cone, we're not going to board up, we're not going to evacuate, we're not going to take these steps that are in our manual for storm preparation, that is not true. That is not accurate. So make sure you go back, talk to your folks, and say, look, we have to re-look at how the Hurricane Center issues their official forecasts and where the impacts of those advisories, watches, warnings are, because many of them are outside of the cone. And I'll just point out here one other thing to the east. You can see here, just flashed, this is another area of potential tropical development that we and the National Hurricane Center are monitoring. We have a low pressure system off the coast. It's just sitting there and spinning. No real strong steering currents. And there is a strong high pressure system over the mid-Atlantic states that has given the mid-Atlantic and Northeast gorgeous weather over the last 5 days. It will continue on through the weekend, is going to force this system to move or drift to the west. So if this develops into any tropical type system, even if it doesn't, it looks like we'll have some impacts along the coastline in the form of rip currents, also strong rainfall, some intense rainfall from thunderstorms, things like that. We'll be monitoring this for any further development, of course. So I'll just widen out, first of all, with GeoCollaborate, and I'll pull out here a little bit because I did want to give you another sort of tropical briefing very quickly here. This is the remnants. You can see the path that Francine took up towards southern Louisiana. Did impact downtown New Orleans with very heavy rain. We're monitoring this area in the Atlantic for potential tropical development. And we also have other areas as well. We have this area for potential tropical development. Doesn't look too risky. Looks like we'll see potential of about, I think over the long term, it's about 20% here over 7 days. Yeah, 20% for that one. And the same with this one, about 20% over the next 7 days, which is right behind it. And there you can see it. Oh, now it's been lowered to a 0% chance. So we'll probably see this area disappear from the official National Hurricane Center's sort of list of suspicious areas to watch. But we do have over here, we do have a tropical depression in the Atlantic, tropical Atlantic, and that is forecast to move in this direction. However, not really develop that rapidly. So we have plenty of time to watch this one in the Atlantic. So that's what GeoCollaborate is doing here, is monitoring tropical activity for you. You can also see there's another system here that's forecast to become a tropical storm and impact Baja California and on up into the mountainous areas of Mexico. So we're monitoring the Atlantic and the Pacific for tropical activity. And that's really what we have going on right now. Now, I do want to just mention as well, power outages. We do have the power outages that Tom is updating through the Signal app to everybody as well. Looks like Louisiana has been the hardest hit so far. followed by Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. So you can follow along, and if you're a stakeholder in the SISE and connect to the SISEnet hub, you can get this kind of information uploaded and updated by SISEnet stakeholders as well. So that's the power outage. Now, I did want to mention one more time the flood risk during the day today. Today is Thursday, so it looks like these are areas where we'll see that flood risk. The bullseye is really in Mississippi, but you can see those yellow areas. That is also Tennessee, parts of Kentucky, and anywhere you see the green as well. That's a low probability, but still non-zero, that will have some flooding rains, localized flooding rains in those areas of green. And that area off the coast to the right is that potential tropical development that we're watching. Now, I just want to reiterate one other time, because I do have some examples of what you may access from the National Hurricane Center's website, and that is that cone, that forecast cone. And you can see the example to the left is what the Hurricane Center used to do. They're evolving into the one on the right, but I do just want to point out the one on the left, you can see watches and advisories extend beyond that cone. Now, take a look at the graphic to the right. The National Hurricane Center is now including inland watches and warnings to go along with that cone to really show how the impacts broaden beyond that threat. Keep in mind that cone is not to be used to make decisions on whether you should evacuate, whether you should take precautionary measures, or whether you should even care if you're out of the cone. Doesn't matter, right? Absolutely not. You could be severely impacted by storm surge, by heavy rain, by flooding, by all sorts of impacts, wind gusts, trees down, power out, outside of that cone. So the one on the left is the old one. The one on the right is the new and evolving cone from the National Hurricane Center. We also display all the advisories within GeoCollaborate in the dashboard. You can turn them on yourself by clicking those boxes, the data layers on the left-hand side, and turning them on. You can build your own situational awareness based on that trusted data that we're making available in GeoCollaborate. So that's it for this update. I'm Dave Jones with StormCenter Communications and GeoCollaborate. Once again, Tropical Depression Francine is in its dying stages now. We still will have impacts. We will have impacts from heavy rain and flooding. So don't let your guard down. If you live in low-lying areas and potential flood-prone areas, then you want to make sure you're monitoring the intensity of the rainfall and any evacuation orders that are given. So the Hurricane Center has issued its last advisory at 11 o'clock this morning. We'll continue to monitor the tropics. If you want additional video updates, please let us know through the Signal app or through the SISE hub. But we will tail the updates, ramp them down here as Francine becomes more of an extratropical threat with just some heavy rains. So monitor your local National Weather Service office. You can access the GeoCollaborate dashboard, and we'll certainly keep you updated with real-time radar and any watches or warnings that are issued there. So thanks for watching. Thank you to all the crews that are responding through mutual assistance. The coordination has been terrific. Your feedback has been wonderful as well on these video updates, and we really appreciate that here. And we'll talk to you next time we have a next landfalling tropical system. I'm Dave Jones. Have yourself a good rest of the day.